The sun was falling behind the mountains of Thera 7, painting the sky with red and gold. The air was calm, only the sound of dry leaves moving with the wind. Eli, a human engineer, was returning from the colony outpost after another long day of work. He liked this quiet path through the forest far from the noise of machines. It reminded him of Earth, of a time when things were simple. But that evening, something felt different. He felt watched. The wind carried a strange sound, soft footsteps, fast, nervous. Then from behind the tall, glowing trees, someone ran toward him. It was a girl, small and trembling, her silver eyes shining with tears. Her skin was light blue and her long white hair stuck to her wet face. She looked too young to be wandering the forest alone. Before Eli could speak, the girl stumbled into his arms, gasping for air. "Please," she whispered, her voice shaking. "Follow me. Home." Then she cried harder, her tears leaving faint, glowing trails down her cheeks. Eli froze, his heart racing. He had seen alien refugees before, but none like her. Her clothes were torn, and strange patterns, like living lines, glowed faintly along her arms. He tried to calm her, placing a gentle hand on her shoulder. Hey, it's okay. What happened? Who hurt you?" But the girl only shook her head and looked behind her in fear. "They're coming," she said softly, her voice almost breaking. "Please hurry." Eli turned his head and listened. For a moment there was only silence. Then he heard it, a deep metallic growl echoing between the trees like machines crawling through the underbrush. The ground seemed to tremble with every sound. Without thinking, Eli grabbed her hand. "Let's go," she nodded, and together they ran. The forest lights flickered as they moved, the alien plants reacting to their fear. Branches whipped past them. Glowing spores burst into the air, and far behind them came the faint red glow of drones scanning the forest. "Where are we going?" Eli asked, panting. "Home," the girl said between breaths. "You'll see." Her hand was cold but strong, and she moved fast even though she looked weak. She seemed to know every twist and turn of the forest. Finally, they reached an enormous old tree, wider than a house, its roots rising like walls. The girl knelt and pressed her glowing hand against the bark. The ground shuddered and then opened. A hidden tunnel revealed itself below. Eli hesitated for a moment, but when the mechanical sounds grew louder, he followed her down. The tunnel was dark and humid, filled with a low humming sound like energy moving through stone. Bioluminescent roots glowed faintly along the walls, showing the way. The girl's breathing slowed as she led him deeper. "Almost there," she whispered. After a few minutes, they stepped out into a huge underground chamber. Eli's eyes widened. It was a village, an alien village built beneath the earth. Homes made from glowing crystal stood broken. The air smelled of burnt metal and smoke. Everything was quiet, too quiet. Eli stopped walking. His heart sank as he realized the truth. The place wasn't just empty, it had been destroyed, burned by something powerful. The girl let go of his hand and ran forward, falling to her knees beside a collapsed shelter. She touched the ground and started to sob. "They're gone," she whispered. "All of them." Eli looked around slowly. He saw broken tools, shattered glass, and the marks of laser fire on the walls. He knelt beside her and spoke softly. "I'm sorry. I didn't know." "They came from the sky," she said through tears. "They said my people were dangerous. They took my father. They burned everything." Her voice cracked as she tried to breathe. "I tried to hide, but I heard them scream. Then I ran. I ran until I found you." Eli felt a tightness in his chest. He didn't know why this alien girl's pain affected him so deeply, but he couldn't ignore it. He gently placed his jacket over her shoulders. "You're safe now," he said. "No one's going to hurt you." The girl looked up at him with trembling eyes. "You don't understand," she said softly. "They will come again. They always come back." Before Eli could answer, a deep rumbling sound shook the tunnel walls. The faint red glow returned, brighter this time. He turned and saw shadows moving at the entrance of the tunnel. The girl gasped. "They found us!" Eli stood, pulling her behind him. His mind raced. He was just a mechanic. He didn't have weapons, only a small plasma cutter. But he wasn't going to let anyone harm her. He looked at the frightened girl clutching his sleeve, then back at the glowing tunnel. Something inside him changed. He didn't know her name, her world, or her story, but he knew one thing for sure. He would not run this time. And as the first mechanical drones entered the chamber, the human stood his ground, ready to fight for a stranger who had come crying into his arms. The red lights grew brighter in the tunnel, flashing like silent eyes. Eli's heart pounded as he pulled the alien girl behind a broken wall. The faint hum of the machines echoed closer, followed by a sharp metallic hiss. The girl's glowing wristlines pulsed faster, reacting to the presence of danger. "Stay quiet," Eli whispered. She nodded, pressing her hand against her mouth to stop her sobs. From the shadows of the tunnel, 3 spider-like drones crawled into view. Their bodies shimmered with cold silver armor, each leg ending in a blade. They scanned the wreckage, their red sensors moving across the walls. Eli's hands trembled, but he slowly reached for his plasma cutter. A simple tool, not a weapon. Still, it was all he had. He took a deep breath. "If they see us, run," he whispered. But before he could act, the girl touched his arm. Her eyes glowed softly. "Wait," she said in a trembling voice. She closed her eyes and placed both hands on the ground. Suddenly, faint blue energy rippled across the floor, spreading like water. The drones froze for a second. Their red lights flickered, and then one by one they collapsed motionless. Eli stared in disbelief. "What did you just do?" The girl's breathing grew heavy. "It's my mother's gift," she said weakly. "We can speak to the earth, but it hurts." Her nose bled slightly and she swayed. Eli quickly caught her before she fell. "You did great," he said softly, helping her sit down. "You saved us." The girl shook her head. "No, they'll send more. They always send more." Eli looked around the destroyed chamber. Something inside him wouldn't let him walk away. "Then we'll get ready for them," he said firmly. "But first you need to tell me who they are." The girl wiped her tears and looked at him with wide, shimmering eyes. "Humans call them harvesters," she said. "They don't work for any army. They work for themselves. They take living things and sell them." Eli frowned. "Sell them? For what?" "For experiments, for trophies, for power," she whispered. "They came to our world a year ago. My people tried to fight, but we were small. They said we were worth more alive than dead." Her voice cracked. "They took my father because he could control the crystals. They wanted his power." Eli clenched his fists. The idea of anyone hunting living beings for profit made his blood boil. "And your home?" "They burned it to make us run," she said quietly, "so they could follow our energy. My father told me to run. He said humans were different. He said if I ever found one to ask for help." Her eyes filled again. "That's why I came to you." Eli stared at her in silence. His chest ached. He remembered the colony base where humans traded technology with alien worlds, pretending to bring peace while ignoring the cries of those who suffered outside the walls. Maybe this was his chance to do something right. He stood and offered her his hand. "Then we find your father," he said. She looked up, startled. "You'll help me?" "I'm already in it," Eli said with a faint smile. "And I don't walk away from someone crying for help." Her lips trembled, but she smiled back, the first real smile since he'd met her. "My name is Lyra," she whispered. "Eli," he said. "Now, Lyra, let's get you out of here." They climbed through the remains of the underground village, stepping over rubble and burnt wires. Some walls still glowed faintly from the crystal power embedded within. Lyra paused beside a broken pillar. She pressed her hand to it and the crystal flickered to life. A small hologram appeared, an image of her father, tall, with deep blue skin and gentle eyes. "Father," she whispered, "I will come for you." The hologram repeated a faint voice message. "If you find this, Lyra, it means they've taken me. Don't be afraid. The earth remembers us. Follow the blue light. It will lead you home." Eli watched as Lyra's tears glowed under the hologram's light. That voice. "He's alive," he said softly. "Yes," Lyra said, "and we must go before they find us again." Just then the ground trembled. From the tunnel they came through, a deep roar echoed, this time louder. The collapsed drones twitched, their red eyes flickering back on. Eli cursed under his breath. "They're rebooting," Lyra gasped. "We need to seal the path." She pressed her glowing hands to the wall, focusing hard. The ground shuddered, and stone began to close over the tunnel entrance. But her strength faltered halfway. The energy faded. Eli ran to her side. "You've done enough. Come on." He picked her up in his arms and ran through another exit path. The sound of metal scraping followed them, louder and faster. As they burst out into a new chamber, a faint blue light shimmered ahead, a path carved with glowing veins of crystal. It stretched into the distance, pulsing like a heartbeat. Lyra pointed weakly. "That's it. The way home." Eli nodded and looked back at the tunnel they'd come from. The red lights were already crawling closer. He gritted his teeth and whispered, "Then let's see where it leads." Together, the human and the alien girl ran toward the glowing path, their shadows stretching long across the crystal floor. Behind them, the machines screamed in the darkness. Ahead of them, something unknown and possibly tragic waited in the blue light. But Eli didn't stop. Because now, helping her felt like more than duty. It felt like destiny. The glowing tunnel stretched endlessly, the blue veins in the walls pulsing like living veins beneath the earth. Eli carried Lyra in his arms, her head resting weakly on his shoulder. The soft light reflected on her pale blue skin, making her look almost like part of the crystal itself. Each breath she took sounded shallow, but her eyes stayed open, watching the flickering glow ahead. "Are you okay?" Eli asked softly. "I'm fine," she whispered, though her trembling hands said otherwise. "The energy. It calls me. It remembers me. What do you mean?" "The crystals," she said faintly. "They're part of my people. My father told me they carry our memories, our voices. If we follow their light, they'll lead us home." Eli looked around in awe. The blue light seemed to respond to her words, growing brighter as if listening. It was unlike anything human technology could do. As they moved deeper, the air changed. It felt charged, electric, humming with power. Strange patterns began to form on the walls, shifting images like stories told in light. Eli slowed his steps. The glowing pictures showed tall alien figures standing beside humans, trading gifts, laughing together. Then the scene changed. Flames, weapons, broken cities. The light dimmed to red. "Lyra," Eli whispered, "what is this?" "Our history," she said quietly. "Once humans and my kind worked together. Long ago, but greed grew. Your people took our power stones, saying they were resources. Then they left and others came, the harvesters. They found what the humans abandoned." Eli swallowed hard. "I didn't know. None of us did." Lyra looked up at him, her silver eyes shining with sadness. "Maybe you didn't, but your kind started the hunger for what cannot belong to anyone, the Earth's soul." Her words cut deep. Eli had always believed humans were explorers, builders, dreamers. But hearing her voice tremble with truth made him question everything. As they continued, the tunnel opened into a massive cavern. The ceiling shimmered with blue light, and a river of crystal ran through the center, glowing like liquid energy. Lyra slowly slid from his arms and knelt beside the river. She touched the surface gently, and the light responded, spreading outward in waves. Eli watched silently as her reflection appeared on the glowing water, then shifted. Another face appeared beside hers, a man older with deep blue eyes just like hers. "Father," she cried, falling to her knees. "It's him." "He's alive!" The image of her father looked straight at her. His lips moved, but no sound came. Then in the next moment, his voice echoed in the chamber, soft, distant, like a memory replaying through the light. "Lyra, if you see this, I'm still fighting. They took me to the Sky Fortress, but I left the seed behind. Follow the light, my child. The crystal will protect you. And the human, if he still walks beside you, trust him. He carries the old blood." Eli blinked. "Old blood? What does that mean?" Lyra turned to him, eyes wide. "He knew about you, about humans still being here. Maybe you're connected to them somehow." Eli shook his head. "That's impossible." But before they could think more, the ground trembled violently. Cracks split across the walls and the glowing river rippled with force. From the far side of the cavern, a swarm of harvesters burst through the stone, red lights flashing like open wounds. "They found us again," Lyra screamed. Eli grabbed her hand. "Come on." They ran along the edge of the river as energy bolts fired behind them, striking the crystals. Explosions of blue light filled the cavern, lighting the air with sharp cracks. Eli ducked and pulled Lyra behind a fallen pillar. "We can't outrun them like this," he shouted. Lyra looked toward the river. "The seed," she said suddenly. "He said he left a seed behind." "What seed?" Before Eli could stop her, she jumped into the shallow part of the glowing river. Her feet touched the crystal bed beneath, and she closed her eyes. The light pulsed faster, brighter, until it almost blinded him. "Lyra!" he shouted. She raised her arms as if calling something from deep below. The ground shook harder. From the heart of the river, something rose. A glowing crystal orb, spinning slowly, its surface covered in ancient runes. "The heart of our home," she whispered. "It's alive." The harvesters aimed their weapons at her, charging red beams. Eli didn't think twice. He grabbed a fallen drone's weapon, hot and heavy in his hands, and aimed it back at them. "Stay away from her," he yelled and fired. The beam hit one of the machines, making it explode into shards of metal. Lyra opened her eyes. "Eli, hold them off." "Just for a moment." "I'm trying," he shouted, ducking behind the crystal wall. He fired again, his hands shaking, his chest burning from the heat. Sparks flew everywhere. Then Lyra screamed, her voice echoing through the cavern, not in pain, but in power. The orb burst with blinding blue light, flooding the entire place with energy. The harvesters froze, their circuits overloading. One by one they fell silent, their red lights dying. When the glow faded, Eli looked around in disbelief. The cavern was silent again. Only the sound of the glowing river remained. Lyra fell to her knees, weak and trembling. Eli rushed to her. "Lyra, are you hurt?" She shook her head slowly. "No, but the seed is awake now. It will call others. My father will know." Eli looked up at the glowing ceiling. The thought of what calling others meant made his chest tighten. "You mean more of your people?" Lyra nodded. "And maybe more of yours too." Eli frowned. "Mine? Yes," she whispered, looking into his eyes. "Because my father said you carry the old blood. And if that's true, then you're part of something much bigger than you think." The human stood there, speechless, surrounded by the shimmering blue light, realizing that this journey was not just about saving one alien girl. It might be about rediscovering a lost truth about all of humanity itself. And far above, in the cold night sky, the Harvester's fortress began to stir. High above the shattered forests of Thera 7, a black shape floated among the storm clouds. The Sky Fortress, a monstrous ship built from stolen alien technology, hung in silence, its engines glowing faint red beneath its shadowed hull. Inside, the air was cold and sterile. Rows of machines hummed quietly, and behind thick glass, glowing cells held prisoners, alien beings stripped of their power. In one of those cells stood Lyra's father. His hands were chained to a wall of energy, his once bright skin now pale from exhaustion, but his eyes still burned with defiance. A tall figure in metallic armor approached. One of the harvesters, its mask shaped like a skull, voice deep and mechanical. "Your child is alive," it said. "And she carries the seed." The old alien lifted his head, surprise flickering in his tired gaze. "Then your doom has already begun," he whispered. The harvester's red eyes glowed brighter. "We shall see." Far below, Eli and Lyra stood near the mouth of the glowing cavern, the last light of the blue river fading behind them. The world above had grown darker, heavy with storm clouds. Sparks of lightning danced across the horizon. Lyra touched the crystal orb now resting in her palms. It pulsed faintly like a heartbeat. "The fortress will come for this," she said softly. "They can sense its energy even from the stars." Eli nodded, scanning the horizon. "Then we need to go to them first before they come to us." She looked up, startled. "You want to go to the fortress? That's suicide?" "Maybe," Eli said quietly. "But if your father's alive, we can't leave him there. You said he can control the crystals. Maybe he's the key to stopping them." Lyra hesitated, her expression torn between fear and hope. "I can't lose him again." Eli placed a hand on her shoulder. "Then we won't." They made their way back through the forest, following the glow of the orb which seemed to guide them like a compass. Every few moments, Lyra's head tilted as if hearing voices from afar, the crystals whispering directions. When they reached a high cliff overlooking the valley, Eli stopped. Above them, lightning flashed, revealing the enormous shadow of the Sky Fortress. Its engines roared faintly in the distance, a haunting hum that shook the air. "There," Lyra whispered. "That's where he is." Eli studied the ship's path. "It's too high for us to reach by foot," he said. "But maybe there's another way." He opened his old tool pack, pulling out a pair of rusty jet stabilizers, salvage from an old mining project. "They're not built for flying that high," he said, half smiling, "but they'll get us close." Lyra blinked in awe. "You humans are crazy." "Yeah," Eli said with a grin. "But sometimes crazy works." They set up the boosters at the cliff's edge. Lyra's hands trembled slightly as she held the orb close. "If the fortress senses this, they'll come faster." "Then let's move before they do," Eli replied. He strapped the stabilizers around them both, holding her close. "Ready?" Lyra nodded, her silver eyes shining. "Let's find my father." Eli activated the engines and a burst of blue fire shot beneath their feet. The world fell away as they rocketed upward, the wind roaring in their ears. The fortress loomed larger and larger, its dark hull blocking out the stars. As they neared the lower deck, alarms blared across the ship. "They've seen us," Lyra shouted. "Hold on," Eli shouted back, steering toward a maintenance hatch on the side. The stabilizers sputtered, flames flickering. At the last second, Eli fired the emergency brake, slamming them against the hull with a metallic clang. The hatch burst open under pressure, and they rolled inside, gasping for breath. The corridor was dimly lit, filled with pipes and steam. Lyra clutched the orb tightly. "We made it," Eli nodded, catching his breath. "Now let's make it count." They crept through the fortress halls, hiding behind large machinery whenever guards passed. The harvesters moved in eerie silence, their footsteps echoing faintly. Strange alien symbols pulsed along the walls, feeding power to every corner of the ship. Lyra stopped suddenly, placing her hand on the metal wall. "He's close," she whispered. "I can feel him." They turned a corner, and there, through a glass barrier, they saw him. Her father chained, surrounded by machines draining his energy. "Father!" Lyra cried out softly, tears welling in her eyes. The old alien looked up, his eyes widening. "Lyra?" His voice trembled with disbelief. "You're alive." Eli grabbed the control panel beside the glass. "Hang on, we'll get you out." But before he could override the lock, an alarm screamed through the hall. Red lights flared to life. From the far end, heavy footsteps thundered closer. The skull-faced harvester appeared, flanked by armed drones. "So," it growled, its mechanical voice echoing, "the human comes to die for the alien." Eli stepped forward, standing protectively in front of Lyra. "You took her family. You burned her home. You won't touch her again." The harvester tilted its head, amused. "You are brave, human. Foolish, but brave. Did she tell you what that orb is?" Eli's jaw tightened. "Doesn't matter." "Oh, but it does," the harvester said, raising its clawed hand. "That seed she carries, if it blooms, it will destroy us all." "It will destroy everything, even her," Lyra gasped. "You're lying." The harvester's red eyes glowed brighter. "Ask your father, child. He knows what your seed truly does." Eli glanced at the old alien, whose face had gone pale. "Father," Lyra whispered. "Is it true?" The old alien lowered his head, silent. And in that moment of silence, Eli realized something terrible. Whatever the truth was, the war between humans, aliens, and harvesters was about to change forever. The red alarm lights bathed the metal corridor in a ghostly glow, flashing over Eli's tense face. The harvester's voice echoed like thunder, its mechanical tone steady and cruel. "Ask him," it said again, pointing its claw at Lyra's trembling father. "Ask him what the seed truly is." Lyra stared at her father, confusion and fear in her silver eyes. "Father, please," she whispered. "Tell me he's lying." Her father's lips moved, but no sound came. He looked at Eli, then at the glowing orb in Lyra's hands. Finally, with a deep, trembling breath, he spoke. "The seed is not just power," he said softly. "It's a weapon, one that can change worlds or end them." Lyra's eyes widened. "What? No." "Father, it called to me, it healed me." "Yes," he said sadly, "because it knows you. It was born from our people's life force. But when it matures, it releases energy beyond control. It can purify or destroy everything it touches. The old humans feared it. That's why they left us." Eli froze. "Wait, you mean humans already knew about this?" Her father nodded weakly. "Your ancestors created the harvesters to harvest crystal energy safely. But they turned against their makers. Now they hunt both our kinds, searching for the seed's energy. It's the last of its kind, the last chance to control creation itself." Lyra looked at the orb, glowing softly in her palms, as if it heard every word. "Then why did you give it to me?" she cried. "Why make me carry this curse?" Her father's voice shook. "Because I knew you would never use it for greed, only for love." The harvester laughed, a low metallic growl that filled the air. "How touching. But love will not save you. That orb will consume her if she keeps it." Eli stepped forward, anger rising in his chest. "You shut up." The harvester turned its red gaze on him. "You think you can stop destiny, human? You carry the blood of those who began this. Do you even know what you are?" Eli gritted his teeth. "I know I'm not like you." The machine tilted its head, amused. "Your kind built us, then fled the galaxy when we became too strong. But some humans stayed behind. experimenting, merging your blood with alien genes to survive the worlds you ruined. You, Eli, are one of them. Eli froze. That's not possible. But before he could ask more, the harvester raised its arm, aiming a plasma rifle. Enough talk. The seed belongs to us, Lyra screamed, a no, and threw up her hands. The orb blazed with a burst of light so bright it blinded them all. The walls shook violently, alarms blaring even louder. When the light dimmed, the harvester was thrown across the room, its armor cracked and smoking. Eli ran to Lyra's side. She was on her knees, the orb pulsing wildly in her hands. Lyra, he shouted, grabbing her shoulders. Stop, you'll hurt yourself. Her eyes glowed pure white now, her voice echoing in two tones, hers and something ancient. It's alive. It's waking. Eli's stomach turned cold. The orb's glow was spreading up her arms, veins of light crawling toward her chest. Lyra, listen to me. You have to control it. I can't, she gasped. It's too strong. Her father struggled against his chains, shouting, let me out. I can guide her. Eli grabbed the control panel, sparks flying as he jammed his plasma cutter into the lock. The energy cell burst and the containment field dropped. Lyra's father collapsed to the floor, panting. He crawled to her, placing both hands on her glowing arms. Lyra, my child, listen, he whispered. The seed listens to your heart. You must show it peace, not pain. It reflects what's inside you. Tears streamed down her cheeks. But all I feel is fear. Then think of something stronger, her father said. Think of love. Think of the human who came when you cried. Eli's heart clenched. He took her hand, holding it tightly. I'm here, Lyra. You're not alone. The orb's wild glow slowed. The light softened, turning from blinding white to calm blue. The trembling stopped. The walls of the fortress seemed to exhale, the alarms dying down. Her father sighed in relief. Good, my daughter. But the silence didn't last. From the wreckage, the harvester rose again, sparks crawling across its broken frame. Half its mask was gone, revealing dark mechanical veins beneath. You cannot stop evolution, it growled. If you won't give me the seed, I'll take it with your corpses. Eli turned, but before he could react, the harvester fired a beam straight at them. Lyra's father moved instinctively, stepping in front of his daughter. The blast hit him square in the chest. He fell backward, the energy searing through him. Father! Lyra screamed, catching him as he collapsed. The orb fell from her hands and rolled across the floor, flickering dimly. Eli lunged for the fallen weapon, rage burning in his chest. He fired back, the shot hitting the harvester's chest and driving it into the wall. Sparks exploded as machinery failed. Lyra's father coughed weakly, his body fading. Lyra, he whispered, the seed is part of you now. It will follow your heart. Protect it. Protect the human. He is the bridge, the last one who can save us all. Don't talk like that, Lyra sobbed, shaking her head. You're going to be fine. But his hand went still in hers, his eyes dimming like a dying star. For a moment, there was only silence, broken only by the hum of the fortress engines and the faint pulse of the fallen orb. Lyra closed her father's eyes and whispered, Rest, Father. I'll finish what you started. Eli placed a hand on her shoulder. We will, he said quietly. Together. But behind them, the walls of the fortress began to shift, metal groaning like a living creature. The harvester wasn't gone yet, and now the fortress itself was awakening. The storm outside howled louder. Above the clouds, a new light began to form, a beam aimed toward the planet below. Something far worse was coming. The fortress groaned like a living beast, metal twisting and bending as thunder rolled outside. The hum of its engines deepened into something that felt alive, like the ship itself had awakened from sleep. Sparks rained from the ceiling, casting eerie light across the chamber. Eli crouched beside Lyra, who still knelt beside her father's lifeless body. The soft glow of the orb pulsed faintly nearby as if mourning with them. For a moment, neither spoke. Only the sound of wind and machines filled the air. Then, from the shadows of the broken wall, the harvester stirred again. Its mask was half gone, revealing a horrifying blend of metal and organic tissue beneath. The red eye that remained flickered weakly, but the voice that came from it was still cold and steady. You can kill one of us, it said, dragging its broken frame forward, but you cannot kill what we've become. Eli grabbed the plasma rifle, his hands shaking but his eyes firm. You've done enough killing. The harvester laughed, an ugly, glitching sound. You think I fear death? The fortress is alive, human. It is us. It carries our code, our hunger, our mind. As if on cue, the ship rumbled violently. Pipes burst from the walls, spilling blue steam. A deep, rhythmic pulse filled the corridors, almost like a heartbeat. Lyra looked up, her voice trembling. He's right. The fortress isn't just a machine, it's grown from the seed's fragments. It feeds on energy. Even souls. Eli's stomach tightened. Then we destroy it. Lyra's silver eyes met his. If we destroy it, the seed dies too. And so do I. Eli froze. What are you talking about? When I touched the seed, she whispered, it bonded to me. My father's energy flowed through it. And now it's inside me. If the fortress goes, I go with it. He stared at her in disbelief. No, there has to be another way. The harvester lifted its arm slowly, pointing at Lyra. There is no other way. She is part of it now. That is why you must give her to us. We can extract it. Lyra shuddered, clutching her chest. You mean you'll tear it out of me? Eli's anger exploded. You'll touch her over my dead body. He fired. The plasma beam ripped through the harvester's arm, sending it spinning backward. But the fortress itself reacted instantly. The lights turned crimson, walls shifting as if alive. Panels opened, releasing smaller drone units, each glowing with red energy. Lyra stood slowly, her hair floating slightly from the energy building around her. Eli, the fortress is linking with the seed inside me. It's trying to control me. Eli stepped forward. Then fight it. I can't hold it back for long. Her voice echoed, layered with another tone, something deep, ancient and powerful. The drones surrounded them. Eli fired wildly, the plasma bolts ricocheting off the walls. Lyra raised her hands and waves of blue light exploded from her palms, disintegrating the drones one by one. The air crackled with raw energy. Eli's vision blurred as heat and light filled the corridor. When it cleared, Lyra stood at the center of a ring of glowing dust. Her eyes were completely white now, her voice calm but strange. The fortress listens to me, she said. I can feel its heart beating. It's not just a machine, it's alive because of the seed's energy. Then maybe you can make it stop, Eli said quickly. Turn it off before it destroys the planet. Lyra closed her eyes, focusing. The ship's shaking slowed slightly, the red lights dimming. But a new sound began, an electronic scream that echoed through every wall. The harvester, half crushed, laughed weakly. You think you can control creation? It will devour her first. Lyra clutched her chest, gasping. The light around her flickered violently. It's too strong, she cried. It's feeding on me now. Eli dropped the gun and rushed to her, grabbing her hands. Lyra, listen to me. You're not alone. The fortress listens to your heart, right? Then show it your will, show it who you are. Her trembling slowed as she met his eyes. Eli, she whispered. Hold me. He wrapped his arms around her tightly. The energy between them flared, blue light flooding the room. The pulse of the fortress changed. It slowed, then steadied, syncing with Lyra's heartbeat. For a moment, everything went quiet. The storm outside stopped. The ship's engines paused. The fortress seemed to breathe in silence. Lyra's voice echoed through the halls, not just from her mouth but from the walls, the floors, the air itself. You were born from pain, she said softly, speaking to the ship. But pain doesn't have to be your end. Let go. A low hum answered, deep and trembling. Then the fortress began to change. The walls softened from red to pale blue. The violent rumble turned into a low, mournful hum. The drones dropped lifeless to the floor. The harvester tried to move, but its systems failed, sparks bursting from its chest. No! It screamed. You can't. Lyra raised her hand and the last burst of light swallowed it whole. The harvester disintegrated into dust. Eli looked around in disbelief. You did it. Lyra swayed, her energy fading. He caught her before she fell. Her skin glowed faintly, her voice weak. I didn't destroy it. I made it sleep. But it won't last long. The seed, it's too unstable. It needs a host to survive. Eli's chest tightened. You mean it'll kill you? She looked up at him with a faint smile. Maybe not. If it finds another heart to share. The implication hit him like a blade. Lyra, no. Don't even think about it. Her fingers brushed his cheek gently. You said humans never run from what's right. Then don't run from me now. Before he could speak, she leaned forward, pressing her glowing hand against his chest. Blue light surged between them, flowing like water. The world vanished in brightness. And as the light faded, Eli felt something inside him change. His heart beating not alone, but with hers. He looked around. The fortress had gone silent. Lyra was gone. Only her faint whisper remained in his mind. "Follow the light, Eli. I'll be with you." Outside, the first rays of dawn broke through the storm clouds, casting golden light on the silent fortress, once a weapon, now a tomb of peace. But far above, in the depths of the sky, something stirred again, as if her sacrifice had awakened not an end, but the beginning of something new. The storm had passed. The fortress hung silent in the sky like a sleeping giant, half covered in clouds in the faint glow of dawn. Below it, the shattered forests of Thyra 7 shimmered faintly with blue veins of light that spread from the mountain to the valleys, remnants of the seed's awakening. The world was quiet again, but not dead. It was as if the planet itself had paused to breathe. Eli lay on the cold floor of the fortress, his body aching and covered in dust. His ears rang and his chest burned where Lyra's glowing hand had touched him. He sat up slowly, blinking as the light around him flickered. The air felt alive, humming softly as if something unseen was still watching. "Lyra," he whispered. Her voice didn't come from beside him. It came from within, a gentle echo in his mind, soft as wind. "I'm here, Eli." He froze. "Lyra, where are you?" "Everywhere," she said gently. "Part of me is inside the seed now, and part of it lives in you." He looked down at his chest. Beneath his torn shirt, a faint blue glow pulsed with each heartbeat, slow and rhythmic, like the beat of two hearts joined as one. "What did you do?" he whispered. "I shared the burden," her voice replied. "The seed couldn't survive alone, and neither could I, so I gave it to you." Eli's throat tightened. "You should have told me." "You would have stopped me," she said with a faint laugh. "And we both know you're too stubborn for that." Despite everything, he smiled. The sound of her voice eased something heavy in his chest. But the silence that followed was deeper, almost too deep. He stood, looking around the vast control chamber. The fortress was no longer red and violent. It glowed faint blue, alive but calm. The consoles flickered weakly as if waiting for orders. Eli placed a hand on one of the panels, and to his surprise, it responded to his touch. A holographic map appeared showing the planet below, and something else. High above the planet, dozens of red signals flickered in the void. Other harvesters. "They're coming," Eli said quietly. "Yes," Lyra's voice replied. "The fortress's silence will draw them. They'll think it's weak now." He clenched his fists. "Then we'll make sure it isn't." He began moving through the corridors, guided by Lyra's voice. The path she gave him led deep into the heart of the fortress, a massive crystal core that pulsed in harmony with his chest. When he stepped inside, the walls shimmered with memories. Flashes of Lyra's face, her father's voice, the ruined village, the night she came crying to him for help. "This is the heart," she whispered. "It listens to both of us now, but it needs direction. It needs purpose." Eli stared at the glowing sphere before him, its light reflecting in his eyes. "Then we'll give it one." "What are you thinking?" He took a deep breath. "If the harvesters come, they'll never stop. Not while the seed exists. But if we send the fortress away, if we take it where they can't reach, it might end this for good." There was silence for a moment. Then her voice came, softer than before. "You mean, you'll leave?" He hesitated. "If that's what it takes. You don't have to do this alone," he smiled faintly. "I'm not alone, remember? You're still here." The fortress trembled slightly, reacting to their shared emotion. The lights brightened and the core pulsed faster. Eli placed both hands on it. "Let's finish what your father started." The control panels around him came alive, systems rebooting. The engines of the fortress roared, shaking the air. Outside, the clouds split apart as the ship began to rise higher, faster. In orbit above Thyra 7, the approaching harvesters appeared like a swarm of red stars, moving in formation. Their weapons charged, beams of light stretching toward the fortress. Lyra's voice whispered urgently, "They're locking on." "I see them," Eli said calmly, gripping the control pedestal. "Ready?" "Always." The seed's power surged through his veins, and blue lightning flashed across the fortress's hull. The ship's weapons, long dormant, awoke in a blaze of light. Energy cannons fired, ripping through the harvesters' ranks. The stars lit up with fire and color. Eli's body trembled with the power flowing through him. He wasn't piloting with his hands anymore. He was part of the ship. He was the ship. Lyra's presence guided him like a second heartbeat, her voice steady even amid chaos. Left wing incoming, 7 drones. Got them, Eli muttered, turning sharply. Beams of blue fire arced through space, vaporizing the enemy, but more kept coming. For every harvester destroyed, 2 more appeared. The ship began to overheat, the control panels sparking. Lyra's voice faltered slightly. Eli, the energy's draining too fast if we keep this up. I know, he interrupted. But we can't stop now. He looked through the viewing glass at the planet below, peaceful, glowing faintly blue. For the first time, he saw something beautiful in the ruins. She deserves to live, he said softly. Your people, my people. They deserve a second chance. The harvesters charged one final volley, their red beams converging on the fortress. Eli smiled faintly. Guess this is it. Eli, thank you, Lyra, for everything. The seed pulsed once more, bright, blinding, pure. The fortress exploded in a burst of blue-white light that filled the sky. The shockwave spread through space, silencing the harvesters, turning their ships to dust. The light reached the planet below, washing over the forests, the rivers, the broken homes, healing, not destroying. And then silence. Days later, the colony scanners picked up no trace of the fortress. Only a faint shimmer in the upper atmosphere, a streak of blue light slowly fading. The humans who found the ruins of the alien village said they felt warmth in the air, as if someone was still watching. No one ever saw Eli again, but sometimes when the sky turned gold at sunset, a faint whisper could be heard in the wind, soft, calm, and full of hope. Follow the light. And the people did. Because somewhere in the stars, a human and an alien girl had become one heartbeat. Guardians of both species, carrying the last light of 2 worlds united by compassion, sacrifice, and love.